Okay. So I've been to camp. I spent a week there and I drank the Kool-Aid. So Camp 2022 is booked for August the 7th to the 13th. And if my tech works, you'll get the slideshow in the background. So the entrepreneurship camp started some 24 years ago by Community Futures. Community Futures is a federal agency providing business advice, financing, and community support to rural Canada. It's akin to Business Development Bank. CF operates across Alberta, except for Calgary and Edmonton. And within their mandate for community economic development is youth entrepreneurship. Rotarians and individual clubs have been involved since virtually the beginning because, no surprise, a lot of the Community Futures professionals are Rotarians in their respective locales. In 2018, a formal agreement joined District 5360 and Community Futures. Camp now has a steering committee of 4 CF representatives, 4 Rotary representatives, and I am one of those. It all takes place at Eagle's Nest Ranch, which is a wilderness conference center in the Cypress Hills, south of Elkwater, Alberta. There's bunkhouses for the campers and our youth leaders. There's dorm rooms for our adult volunteers and an area where some choose to bring their RV units. There's a full commercial kitchen, 3 squares a day, bedtime snacks, and a tuck shop open at certain hours. We do operate with 1 phone line and 1 internet connection. No Wi-Fi, no cell service, no one on their devices. That is really nice for a week. Our adult volunteers anyways, can get to cell service within about 5 minutes from the main site. Camp, as you will see in the slides, has 2 aspects, camp and business, so a work-play balance. Campers are ages 13 to 15, coming from across District 5360, which closely maps the southern region of Community Futures. Play includes field games, archery, riflery, paintball, a ropes course, a climbing wall, skits, talent night, table games, and more. Particularly at the beginning of the week and during the business day, there's a number of team building exercises led by our youth leaders. More about them later. The business is basically 8:30 to 4:30. In the course of a week, in teams usually of 6, the campers will learn about corporate structures, form a company, explore their vision and mission, brainstorm product or service ideas, make decisions as a team, research product costing using 1 phone line and 1 internet line, mind you, discuss margins and profitability, build a business plan. They then present their business plan to real bankers that come in from Service Credit Union and Medicine Hat. They negotiate their loans and the terms of those loans. They borrow real money. 1 camper from each company will go to Medicine Hat with some of the leaders, and they're the purchasing agent for the company. Sometimes decisions must be made on the fly because the research that was done over the couple of days wasn't perhaps complete or product is no longer available. Next follows production, along with discussions about marketing and advertising. And the culmination of it all is market fair on Saturday. You're all invited, including for lunch. The parents, grandparents, uncles and aunts, siblings and friends come. Our businesses sell their wares. They're dealing with product management. They're dealing with incentives to get the last units out the door, dealing with cash management. So that's followed by tallying up their sales, doing their profit and loss, repayment of their loans along with interest and fees. And the successful teams, and they were all successful in 2019, then divvy up the profits between their team members, cash jingling in their jeans. Our youth leaders have been prior campers. Might need to flex on that a bit this year since after missing 2 years of camp. Initially, they spend 3 days at Medicine Hat College in a leadership development course. They're assigned to each company and help the campers along. Our adult volunteers come from Community Futures, come from Rotary, and come from friends of Community Futures and Rotary. 1 is assigned to each business team. Others organize and supervise during the playtimes, basically overseeing the campers as the Eagle's Nest Ranch staff look after all the technical aspects of the climbing wall, the ropes course, archery, etc. And several support general things at camp, including leading the shopping expedition. There's no cost for the campers to attend. They're bused to camp from pickup points along a central route, and we expect them to be picked up on Saturday by the family. Camp leadership has been diligent in tracking the lives and fortunes of past campers. 94% report significant and positive impact on their education and career. 75% have gone on to post-secondary education. 30% have a business or have been involved in a business startup. 68% of those in rural Alberta, and 91% have taken on leadership roles. These campers are our future in our communities, in business, and in Rotary. Rotary clubs, where do you come in? Well, camp sponsorship is $1,000 per camper. There's an established process for applicants. You can encourage your network of potential campers to apply. There's for Rotarians and Friends of Rotary, there's always some volunteer turnover, so new adult volunteers are needed. There's great support as an adult volunteer. The whole program is very well developed and documented. In my opinion, there's no specific experience necessary. We've all got lots of transferable skills. A few new volunteers each year. In 2019, I was one of 2 newbies. We also saw an abundance of 5, 10, 15, and even 20-year recognitions. To date, 16 clubs in the district have been supporters, and the door is certainly open for more. For our CF attendees, well, thank you for your initiative and support all these years. Tony can elaborate more about what and how for 22 and beyond. And over the next couple of months, we'll be hosting a couple of these sessions. So if anybody else wants to attend, more than welcome. So those are my comments on camp. Is there any questions?
I have a question, please, Brian.
Go ahead.
So then, do you take in a pool of students and then allocate to the clubs, those clubs that's sponsored, or is it up to the club to find the students?
It's a bit of a mixed bag.
Okay.
Call it a hybrid model, if you will. So some clubs and some community futures offices have people that they are promoting and encouraging. And campers come as siblings of past campers and friends of past campers, and the message gets passed around in their schools. So it comes from many, and Jody more or less manages the process. But overall, we're looking for representation across the district and from all the communities that are supporting the camp.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So Jody, I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks, Brian. And if you do think of questions, you can either just throw them in the chat and we can discuss them after, or you can just jump in and ask. So Brian talked a little bit about what it takes to be a volunteer, and we certainly hope that we get more people coming to drink the Kool-Aid, as Brian had said. We have a core group of volunteers, but again, looking to augment that because, you know, plans change, people go on vacation, and we like to have a big pool of volunteers. There are a certain number of roles at camp. Primary, we have our team leaders, and those are the people that work with the campers in teams of 6. Like Brian said, you don't necessarily have to be a business owner, but your transferable skills and the fact that you like kids, you know how to ask questions, you're good at guiding rather than telling, because we really want the youth to be, you know, self-discover, you know, work through their problems. You can be there to help and guide and ask the questions, but you're certainly not expected to, you know, come up with the ideas or whatnot. You're more of a facilitator. We also have presenters that do the educational part of our camp, and often those are team leaders too. We're all there for a week and we take on multiple roles. We have our rec leaders who lead the activities from generally 4:30 to 6. And they're not necessarily team leaders because their shift, the team leaders do their work from about 8:30 to 4:30, and the recreation leaders do their work from about 4:30 to 10. So we have a couple of shifts that are involved with the campers. We also have a person who helps in our office, so they're kind of on the admin skills side. We have bunk masters who sleep in the cabins with the kids just to make sure everything is a-okay. We also have people that work as our supply runners. So looking specifically for people in and around the Medicine Hat area. So you're nice and close, can pop down to the camp for a day. So this is one of our shorter volunteer opportunities. You could come for the day if you would like. Some people are, maybe a week is not doable, but a supply runner, if you live in the Elkwater area, would be a good deal. We also have a wellness facilitator and a medic. And of course, those roles have very specific criteria for them. Our medic is generally a paramedic or a doctor. We are 45 minutes in the middle of nowhere and things happen. So we like to have medical personnel on site. And then our wellness facilitator just helps us deal with teen angst, I guess, the emotions and things that happen at camp. Our youth leaders are wonderful at helping us deal with that, but sometimes we just need a professional. We sometimes can get some homesickness. It's very different for the campers not being connected. Like Brian said, there is no internet or cell phone connection there. So it's a little bit different for the campers to feel disconnected, and having that wellness facilitator helps. Application is pretty easy, just a very simple form. It's on our website. You are required to fit all the Rotary requirements as far as having a background check during the training that's required for all Rotary youth programs. But yeah, that's all on our website, all those position descriptions, which is rotaryac.ca. And you can always contact me if you'd like to talk about any of those volunteer positions any further. Is there any questions so far?
Jody, can you put the website? I didn't get it in the chat, please.
Will do.
And I did put a question in the chat. What's the camper capacity at the camp each year? How many?
It is traditionally 60, simply because we want to keep the ratio of male and female campers the same. That's what the bunkhouses can have. We did bump it up to 66 in 2019 because we were looking at possible ways we could expand and seeing where the ratio was. So it's in between 60 and 66.
Thank you.
Okay, Brian, do you want to talk about how to send a camper?
Famous last words, you're on mute. To send a camper is basically from the camper side, encourage them to go to the website and apply. As Jody says, it's a very simple application just for them to express why they are interested in doing this. From a club side would be to offer to sponsor a camper at $1,000. This activity is eligible for district grants. And so some clubs use the grant process as well. And to volunteer, reach out to Jody, reach out to myself, any of your youth coordinators within your clubs, just get the message to us.
One more
I also-
question.
Oh.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
if I may. Do you want me to go now, Jody, or wait?
Yeah.
Sorry. So now I've lost my question. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
No,
okay. When
it's
it comes
gone.
back
I'll
to you,
put
let
it
me
in
know.
the chat. Sorry.
No, that
I
sounds
saw
good.
Erica had her hand up earlier, just so maybe.
Thanks so much,
Go ahead.
Rick. My name's Erica, and I'm a teacher supervisor at Cochrane High for the Rotary Club, Interact Club of Cochrane High. And I guess, and Brian, you kind of went into explaining how students should apply. We're a really, really, really new club, still kind of getting our feet wet, and we do have a sponsor club. So I'm just kind of here gathering information as this teacher sponsor. I guess I just want to clarify that if my students are interested, what I'm hearing from you guys is that you do prefer grade 10s and 11s because they can then bring the information and the learning back to the club and share it over the next few years. And should we be going through our sponsor club if we are interested, or if I do have a couple students interested, and or should we focus on the Rotary RAYEC.ca site?
I would suggest both. By all means, touch base with your Cochrane club.
Mhm.
The other element is that campers age 13, 14, and 15, they can come back a second time, they can come back a third time, they can come back later as a youth leader after a one-year gap year.
Okay.
And that's a great path, and Max will be talking a little bit about that.
The Cochrane Rotary Club has been a longtime sponsor. They generally send a youth to camp. All right, well, let's hear a bit from Max Weber. He attended camp, of course, as a camper, and then he also came back, I think it's 2 years now. He came back as a youth leader, and now he's like in his second year of university. So super excited that he can come and share some of his experience. He's been a great advocate for camp, and we really appreciate his time. So Max, I want you to tell us a little, how did you hear about camp, and why did you want to apply, and why were you interested?
Sure. So I had a family friend, a friend of my mom's, who was working with Community Futures alongside John Lockhart for a number of years, and she recommended the camp to me. Me and one of my friends, who's a familiar face around the camp also, another youth leader, Mike, we'd been selling, homemade bracelets, homemade crafts, really whatever we could, just to our friends and our family for a couple of years. And yeah, our parents' friends saw this opportunity, kind of focusing on business and young entrepreneurship, and she just recommended it to us. So we had a look on the website, took a look at applications, and thought, oh, we don't even have to pay for this camp. So there was really no reason not to go. So we both sent in our applications, and we were accepted. And yeah, that's how it started.
Excellent. And that's often how it happens. We get a lot of interest that's word of mouth. We really rely on our Rotary clubs to spread the word. You don't have to actually find the youth. You just have to, get the word out there. And often it'll happen just like Max says. We do have our youth leader program, which is former campers. They come back and they work with the team leader to guide the business team throughout the week. And they are a super important part of the camp because they've been a camper. They know exactly how these kids are feeling, and they get to work on their leadership skills and how to develop further group dynamics and whatnot. So Max, you came back as a youth leader. So what does a youth leader do other than, what I just said? And, what kind of training did you get?
So earlier you mentioned kind of team leaders have the morning shift, and the kind of rec leaders have the afternoon shift. The youth leaders have the day shift. So we're there from dawn until dusk. We're on duty. So a lot of the duties relate to the business side of things, teaching the curriculum, kind of talking about it. But kind of what I've found in my experience is that kind of the biggest impact we have is as a liaison between the campers and the team leaders and the adults. So whether that's emotional support or whether that's just communication support, a lot of these kids are kind of first time in this sort of environment, and they're, could be shy, standoffish a little bit. And it's a lot easier for them to talk to people a little bit closer to their age than the team leaders or adults. And I think that's where the youth leader program is the most beneficial, just having a constant communication and friendship with those kids. You know, leaving camp, I still talk with lots of kids who were my campers while I was there, and I am, you know, still talking with them, communicating with them, helping them out with resumes and stuff. So it's just that, you know, support for the campers. And what was the second question? Sorry, Jody, I forgot. Oh, and the training, right?
Right.
So the training before camp is without a doubt one of the most beneficial things I've done in my life. It's 3 days of intensive training at Medicine Hat College with a professor in leadership roles and that sort of thing. And it's super hands-on activities. It's constant problem solving. You know, we'll be presented with a problem or a task, and as a group, we have to figure out a solution. And whether that's working together or having one person kind of stand up as the leader and take control and lead the others through the exercise, there, I think around 6 or 7 hour sessions, but they go by in a blink because it's just always on our feet. There's not a moment to sit back and really, you know, be tired. We're just always preparing for the next thing and always kind of at the front of our game, bringing everything we have. And then outside of the training is a lot of fun. We're pretty much set loose on the town of Medicine Hat, and we were bowling and swimming and, you know, running around having a good time. And there's always one night where we're free to plan our own activity. So with the approval of Jody, we can, you know, choose to go see a movie or go to a different recreation. So not only is it leadership training, but it's also just, you know, friendship training. I still talk with my friends who I was youth leaders with, you know, all the time. I see them, even though we live in different cities and different parts of the province. I still keep a friendship with them just because that training session and those, you know, friendship sessions are just so impactful.
Thanks, Max. Yeah, we have a wonderful partnership with Medicine Hat College. So all of the youth leaders stay in the dorms, and yeah, and it's bonding. It's training during the day, and you know, we do some fun things in the evening, and really get to know each other because camp can be pretty intense. Like Max said, they're on duty from dawn till dusk and sometimes a little further. So we really appreciate what the youth leaders do and all the training that they take with them. I've been with the youth leaders now twice during their training, and it's pretty amazing. So what do you think a key takeaway from RAYEC is as a camper or youth leader, Max?
Well, I think those are, you know, the camper experience and the youth leader experience are almost like two different camps. So as a camper, I would say the biggest experience was just kind of just the power to do what you want to do. So whether that's creating your business, it's just the skills you need to push forward and achieve those goals. I think everything we learn is very optimistic and really supportive. And it also shows the support in the community. I've reached out several times to some of the leaders I've known from the Rotary Club and from Community Futures. And as a camper, you know, it's just it's eye-opening experience towards what possibilities there are for those kids who have the drive to do so. As a leader, I think the skills is just, you know, being able to stand up in a group of people and take charge, and not necessarily in a you know, bossy way or an overpowering way, just as an equal level leader who is able to kind of make things better. And I see those skills all the time in my life. And, you know, as Jody mentioned, I'm in school, and group projects are a big part of school. And without someone in that group, you know, able to push the rest of the people forward, it's really difficult. And I think that's been the biggest takeaway I've noticed.
Thanks, Max. You guys can think of questions you want to ask Max afterwards. We're going to move on to Tony now. Tony Walker is in Fort Macleod. He's a Community Futures General Manager at Alberta Southwest. And how many years have you been at camp, Tony?
My very first camp was in 2008 at the Northern Camp. So I used to work up in a CF office up in High Level, Alberta, and we tried to start a camp that was emulating the South Camp. And we had it that 1 year, and I was part of that. And then I transferred down south to the Pincher Creek area, and I've been attending camp ever since. So that was 2008. I love camp. Yeah, I'm also a Rotarian. So a couple of years ago, well, when I moved to Fort Macleod, I joined the local Rotary. So I have both perspectives, and our Rotary Club is very supportive of the program. Quite often each year we do set aside some money. Unfortunately, we've had a tough time finding enough campers from our area, but that hopefully, and that's a come and go. It's some years we have lots, and some years we hardly have any. So yeah, I've been involved now, I guess 13 years minus the 2 years that we had to take off.
And Tony is our most favorite bunk master. What does a bunk master do, and why do you enjoy it? Why do you keep on doing it?
Well, you and Brian and Max did a great job of explaining the camp, but nobody mentioned what happens at night. So the leaders have them during the day from about 8:30 till 4:30, and the rec people do their thing till about 9 o'clock. Then they have a cool down time with hot chocolate and snacks, and then it's off to the bunks. And for the next hour, I have to settle them down. So they've been all riled up for the last 18 hours, and now they're supposed to go to sleep. The first couple nights is usually very difficult, Sunday, Monday night, just getting them to wind down. By Tuesday, they are so tired from all the activities, they're usually telling everybody else to shut up so they can go to sleep. Being a bunk master, I get to know about a quarter of the kids. So I get half the boys in my bunk and half the boys go into a different bunk. And we kind of have this friendly rivalry, the Eagles versus the Coyotes, or I forget our names, but our bunk against their bunk, all fun stuff. And just getting to know a good chunk of the kids at camp. So I really get to know those group of boys. And then during the day, Jody didn't mention that there's a nice little golf course close by, nice little 9-hole Elkwater golf course, very cheap, very flat, very nice little course. So when you work all night or sleep through your job, then you get the morning to go golfing. And then I quite often, depending on weather, of course, and then I get to hang around the camp and just help wherever I can. So help with rec, help with team leaders, help with producing product, help with going into town to get coffee cream. Yeah. So no, I love that week of camp. We get to book overtime here at work because it takes more than 35 hours for that camp week, but it's not, I shouldn't be rewarded with overtime. I should be paying them.
Yes, we like Tony for his flexibility and always being willing to help. And yeah, we always know he's at the golf course at some point during the day, but he will always float back in and lend a helping hand. And trust me, if your shoppers, I don't know, product or plans didn't go as they should, they're always looking for Tony. Are you going into Medicine Hat? Because of course we're 45 minutes away, and the only person that has a car is pretty much Tony. So, and is able to go.
Forgot to mention too, the Wednesday afternoon, a lot of the team leader people get to leave because a presenter comes in and they run the lemonade game on the Wednesday afternoon. So we usually set up a little golf tournament for anybody who wants to come. Jody's often the female winner. I don't think I've ever been the male winner. And we've had groups, geez, sometimes up to 12 or 14 of us. But then we got to be back right after supper because we still have all those evening things. But yeah, lots of fun.
Yeah. So what do you see as a key takeaway from RAYEC as a volunteer?
Well, I love to see the youth engaged. Again, I do have them for those couple hours at night and that 1 hour in the morning while they're all getting ready and getting showered and getting all lined up. So I like to think that I have some influence on their thoughts for the day or on how they treat people. I mean, we discuss in the bunk bullying, swearing. I mean, just, you know, things that happen at a camp, especially with a room full of 13 to 15-year-old boys. So yeah, just having some influence on them and some giving them some of my wealth of knowledge, because I'm getting old now too. And just watching them all with their activities. I think youth learning, I think one of the huge takeaways for any of the campers and leaders and even the teachers is that workbook. The workbook that RAYEC has developed over the years is comprehensive, it's detailed, it's activity-based. Even if they didn't attend camp and just got a hold of that workbook, there's some value in working through it. And lastly, the relationships. Like Max says, there's still kids that I met 10, 12 years ago that I still talk to, that still phone me, that you know, you run into, and mostly the local ones here in Fort Macleod. We've had a few that came to our Rotary Club and did a presentation after they went to camp. Some of them, you know, started little businesses. We had the Little Medicine Hat College one this year where a younger sister of a previous camper got to do her thing. I'm sure she'll be hoping to attend real camp next year. And yeah, like I say, my Rotary Club does support it at $1,000 a kid. It's a very good deal.
Thanks, Tony. Brian talked a little about how he came to camp earlier in his overview. And so tell us a little bit about your experience being a team leader, Brian.
Well, first to comment, I had a similar experience through junior achievement when I was working in the corporate world in the oil industry in Calgary. But the camp is just that much more dynamic because we're together for a week. People are living together, working together, as opposed to just coming to a 1.5 hour session 1 day a week for, I think it was 2.5 months, if I remember correctly. So many more elements to the entrepreneurship camp and the borrowing of money, the writing of the business plans. And I had my first company when I was in grade 12 myself. But you know, it's a week-long event, just watching the teams develop, because the 6 people that create a company, they may have casually met on the bus on the way to camp. They may not have known that they were going to be working with each other in the small group of 6. The work that the youth leaders do in terms of team building, and to watch that dynamic over the course of the week. And then just to see the success at the end of the week, when they're actually bringing in cash, selling their product at the market fair. And I've heard a couple of stories where 1 year a group, one of the companies, they applied for their loan, and the service manager, bank manager, by plan, said that they were declined. They couldn't have their loan. And so then the next part of the process was they had to do a presentation to another committee from Community Futures, which is how Community Futures works out in the real world. And sure enough, they got their loan from Community Futures. But again, it was just all part of the learning. I was blessed with having the best possible team leader I could possibly imagine. I guess they figured I needed the most help. So I had Max, and I was very pleased to have Max with me for the week. And I learned a lot from him, just in terms of, you know, I haven't done a lot of work recently with younger people. And that was eye-opening. So very, very rewarding week. And then John Lockhart twisted my arm and got me involved in the committee and organizing side. So, and I'm happy to be here.
So Max, what is your favorite? What did you like best about RAYEC? What's your favorite thing?
I think the people, for sure. just the team leaders, the administrative leaders, and the campers. It's, I've made a joke a couple of times to my friends that to be my friends that had to go through 2 application processes because they had to first be a camper and then be invited back as a leader. So, it's really the cream of the crop of the people. And it's just great to meet with them. And I'm from Calgary. I'm from an urban area, but most of the kids are from rural areas. So just kind of that difference in perspectives, it's really different. And I think, yeah, my favorite part is just meeting other people and meeting different people.
Tony, how about you? What's your favorite part? Best part?
Well, I take a budget with me every year to buy product. So I have things like, can you see my pet rock?
Oh yeah, nice pet rock.
And a candle. And I still have chocolate. Something I just add boiling water and I get chocolate, hot chocolate, I think. I still have some of that. I've got a lot
You might
of
want to
things.
eat that.
It's for show, not for eating.
Oh,
I have
okay.
a thing for my laundry room for single socks, single and looking or something. Yeah, I get a lot of excellent materials from the youth camp.
This is true. This is true. I think I have a rain stick somewhere. How about you, Brian? What's your favorite part or best part?
Well, I would echo what both Max and Tony have said. I certainly did some Christmas shopping for family and for grandkids on the day. Brought some stuff back for my Rotary Club. Have a couple of signs that were product made off old reclaimed barn boards. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, Tony's got one of the signs there. So it was just a wonderful week. The people.
Yeah, it does forge a lot of good relationships, and it does speak to the fact that we have volunteers. Like every year we do 5-year recognition, 10-year recognition, 15-year recognition, 20-year recognition. We have volunteers that have been with the camp that long. So it's just a week that you set aside in your summer, that, a place that you really want to be. There is a question in the chat from Judy about elaborating more on the content of the workbook. And the workbook is, like Tony had said, it's really comprehensive. It's the A to Z of starting a business. We start about talking about entrepreneurial characteristics. Is it right for you? We start forming our business team, and then basically we're writing our business plan. So we're talking about, how do you name a business, and what's your mission statement? What's your vision? We get into the marketing plan, and Tony talked about how on Wednesday afternoon, we have somebody that comes in and runs a lemonade game, and it's a very interactive way to learn about marketing. So again, it's not some of it is sitting at a table and working in a book, but a lot of it is very activity based. We look at, building your financials, a cash flow, and also the roles of the people on your team. Generally, you have a president, and you have a person that looks after all your finances. So you have to determine who the roles are. On Sunday night, we do a big activity called True Colors, and we learn more about our characteristics and what are the things that we're kind of naturally lean toward and that we're good at. And so throughout the week, the kids take that learning and say, okay, well, what was your color? And, okay, well, you're super creative and you don't like working with numbers. So, maybe you'd be best suited for marketing. And they're like, yeah, I could do that. So we learn about all the things, we build on things that we learn about all throughout the week. Once the kids pitch their idea to the banker and get their loan, it becomes all about production. So we teach, how do you talk to suppliers? How do you secure enough product? And they're probably getting really good at it over the last couple of years with COVID and figuring that out. And the kids, determine a price. How are they going to make profit? Because that's one of the big takeaways from camp is cash. So once they've paid off all their expenses at the end of the week, they take what they've earned home. And that can be anywhere from $5 to $200. And that's each camper. So depending on their product and how they did with it will determine how much money they take home. And there's no better reward than that, I guess, putting cash in a pocket. So the workbook takes you from building that business right from the very beginning, right to the very end, wrapping it up and paying off all your debts.
You want to just describe, they submit their workbook at the end and there's prizes.
The what, sorry?
When they submit their workbook at the end and
Oh.
we do for prizes?
Yes. We also have a number of prizes that we do at camp. We do have a Anita's workbook, and so that is sponsored, and person who has Anita's workbook that's completely filled in, just beautiful, is $100. And again, it's camp, so it's $100 cash. We have Mr. and Ms. Entrepreneur, and that is also a sponsored award from, now the company name is going to elude me, but they're super generous. They gave each camper a tablet, a Galaxy tablet. And again, the campers are very, very enthusiastic about that. The lemonade game that's played on Wednesday afternoon is also sponsored, and it has a cash prize. I think it's $30 per camper. And I think I hit them all. We also have youth leader prizes. What else, Brian?
I was just going to mention, they're also encouraged, the campers, to take their workbooks back to their schools. And now this is subject to each individual school board, teacher. But there has been cases where people have been given credits for the learnings at camp as documented by their workbook.
Yeah, and I will help each individual student because it does depend on the school, but our curriculum is very thorough and the kids are generally successful in getting credits. Sometimes I write a letter, sometimes I'll, send other documentation. But yeah, I do work with all the kids that want to apply credit for camp. There's a question for you, Max.
Yeah.
What's your major at university? Any startups in your future?
Yeah, so I'm currently in an urban studies major with a minor in architecture at the University of Calgary. I currently do quite a bit of woodworking in my spare time, which I then sell. I have an Instagram page, and I just kind of sell. I have several clients who I just connect with and sell that. So that's a bit of a startup. I'm also currently involved in instructing some martial arts. So I teach my own class and I run all the administrative work behind the class for that. Other than that, though, I've been pretty busy at school recently, but definitely, it's kind of been, I drank the Kool-Aid as well. So it's pretty ingrained in me to kind of have that drive. So it's definitely a goal of mine to keep that as a part of my life. So.
Dave has a question on how do the campers deal with transportation? We have a bus that picks up kids starting in Red Deer, and we have set bus stops. So if you don't live in Red Deer, but you live close to Red Deer, you'll just drive to the pickup spot in Red Deer and you'll hop on the bus. It makes its way south all the way down with different pickup spots along the way. And again, if you don't actually live in, say, Strathmore, but there's a pickup spot in Strathmore, you just drive to Strathmore and hop on the bus there. And it is an all-day bus for sure. Red Deer, they're getting on about 8 o'clock in the morning, and they're not hopping off till about 5 at night. But the bus is pretty fun. They stop for lunch. We buy them lunch. and they watch movies, and they get to know their bus mates. On the way home, we ask that the families come pick them up, or somebody has to come pick them up. There is no bus on the way home. We need the families to come because we need them to attend our business day and buy all the products so that the campers can take the cash.
Jody, I have a comment. Being from the Okotoks Rotary Club in the land of John Lockhart, who we've heard mentioned several times. Of course, our club has been involved with the program for many years. And one of the things that we didn't talk about today is the parents. And so when the kids come back and do their presentation to the club and tell us about their experience, one of the things we do is talk to the parents and the family, siblings, etc., and ask them what is their thought, what are their thoughts on the program. And for a number of us that have also been involved in youth exchange, the kids come back different and more confident, and probably a little more independent of mom and dad than mom and dad would like. But that's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. And so that, to me, that's the thrilling part of this, is to see the impact and the recognition of the impact when the kids come home.
That's a really good point. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for jumping in on that one. Were there any other questions?
So I was going to say, somebody had mentioned junior achievement. So I know junior achievement is active in our area here as well. And this is a natural fit to kind of partner up with your junior achievement partner in your area and try to encourage those kids to apply to get out there. In Okotoks here, Community Futures sponsors, I think, 3 or 4 kids. Our club sponsors 2 kids. So trying to find a half a dozen kids in a town of Okotoks sometimes is difficult unless you've got the right connections. And so Junior Achievement is one of the organizations that can help you make that connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I was just going to add, all of the CF offices do purchase 4 camper spots. In a region like mine, I kind of allocate 1 for Pincher Creek, 1 for Fort McLeod, 1 for Cardston, and 1 for Claresholm. But it doesn't always work out like that every year. So it's, and just the more we can get paid for, the more we can fill from, like, we usually get what, Jody, 90 to 100 applications, and we're trying to fill 60 to 66 kids.
Somewhere in there.
So we usually don't have a problem with the number of kids. It's where they're all from. Yeah.
Rick had his hand up.
Yeah, I had a couple of questions. So the application form is on the website now, available, publicly available?
It is not, it will not be open until early February.
Early February. And what is the deadline for application theoretically?
May 15th.
May 15th. And is there, I'm happy to hear that you've got 90 applicants looking for 60 positions. Is there this is a partnership between 2 organizations, Rotary and Community Futures, has been for a number of years now. Is there a kind of a rough allocation between the 2 of them? Is Rotary stepping up to the plate, I guess, is maybe a question I would have.
What we've done, because the CF region and Rotary District region aligns almost naturally perfectly, each CF area has 4 spots allocated to that region. And when we can find extra Rotary sponsorship in there, that's when we can send more kids. So that's actually why we were able to bump it up to 66 in 2019, is that we saw the Rotary's sponsorship increasing so that we could send more kids. And I think it was going to be a tipping point. I thought 2020 was going to be amazing because we had such incredible engagement on both sides, and it was going up. And then of course, you know what happened. So now we're kind of, bumped down a little bit, starting the re-engaging process with events like these and trying to get the word out there. But for sure, having more Rotary clubs on board, especially in the rural areas, will be highly beneficial.
And if I could add to that, Rick, historically, Community Futures has carried the bigger part of the load. And one of the things that we've been talking as a committee is to try and balance that out. And that's why we're working to get the message out to more Rotary clubs, more Rotarians, through the youth side, through the general side, just so more people know about it. I stumbled on this when I was with Calgary North. We were actually having conversations about trying to do a weekend camp around financial literacy. We even had a booth at one of the district conventions. Through all of that, I never heard a word about RAYEC. And it wasn't until Martin Harvey, who's a member of our Heritage Park Club, happened to bring it up in a club meeting one day. And that was the first I had ever heard of it. So it's a well-kept secret, and we need to change that.
Well, we have a lot of rural clubs in our district. I think we got to get the message out to them. I don't know, have you brought campers in from Kindersley or Swift Current, because they are in our district?
Absolutely.
Brooks, Drumheller. We got a lot of, and I presume that the target audience is all in school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 13 to 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I had a young lady from Kindersley in my group.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. We have 20 Interact clubs, at least 20 Interact clubs in our district. They should be primary targets for our sponsored Rotary clubs, I think. It's an easy fit.
It is a really good fit. We have a really good partnership with Community Futures and them getting into the schools. I know that Red Deer, for example, one of our committee members, she's very connected into the school system. So we always get lots of good applicants there. So that seems to be one key way that if somebody knows somebody, especially the secretary, right, and you can get the word into the schools. Yeah, and then it just goes. So
You need a school champion.
Yeah.
And following along with your comment, Rick, I think we should be encouraging the graduates from the camp to join the Rotaract clubs.
I agree, Dave.
Makes sense to follow the path.
Yeah, that's what we started doing in the last 2 years. John Lockhart, bringing up his name again, he would do a presentation at camp regarding all the opportunities that Rotary has for youth, which includes the youth exchange and being part of the clubs. And so we really, tried to get the kids thinking about the path that Rotary has. So that's been in the works.
Excellent.
Yeah, for
Are there
Max's
pamphlets
information.
available for the camp? Sorry.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Are there pamphlets available describing the camp?
On the website.
It's on the website.
Yeah, and we used to do some brochures and we used to do some posters that we would send out to the schools. The last couple of years just been totally different, but I'm not sure that's how they get their stuff nowadays. I think the social media is how all of these young people get their information. But we used to have that. Do we still have brochures, Jody?
We don't do any print material anymore, but I do send out, I guess, stuff that you could print potentially, but definitely things that are easy to share on websites, on Rotary social media, or your own personal social media as well.
Yeah, and I think we've printed them and put them up around town and stuff like that.
Thanks.
if your clubs have social media accounts, there is on Facebook, RAYEC does have a page, and anytime that's anything's published on there, we share it out. So share. Yeah.
Jody, I just have a question about the youth leaders. So I don't need you to answer this right now because I'm sure it's partially in development, but with the 2 years here that we've missed, what's the youth leader program looking like? Is that going to be application based again, or is that looking more of an invitation sort of thing to past campers?
We haven't really gotten there yet, Max. We know that there are some campers that attended in their first year that were fairly strong, and we think that we'd be good candidates. We also held a virtual camp this year with a partnership with Medicine Hat College. We had a couple of really good campers that we think that they would be good leaders. And we've also thought about having a youth leader mentor. So perhaps an adult like yourself that's been a youth leader that would come back and you would be a mentor to those youth leaders that maybe had never been to camp before, and just be that support, because there's going to be a couple years where we're going to have to bridge things a little bit. But I don't know, that's what entrepreneurs do, right? They figure things out. And we think that we'll make it work.
All right, thank you.
Are you volunteering, Max?
It depends if you guys let me.
Well, I think I could put a thumbs up for that.
So can people students who have not attended the camp, can they be youth leaders?
Traditionally not.
Okay.
We really like youth leaders to have been a camper so that they understand. And yeah.
That tends to be consistent across RILA, Ripen, and
Mhm.
Youth Exchange, based on the leadership that they bring to the program. If they're, look like they're engaged and they're serious about it, then you build off of that. Great
Mhm.
success.
That might all have to change if we cancel another camp.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
So just bouncing off what Rick just mentioned with Ryla and Ripen, then is there collaboration between these youth programs, not just for getting the word out, but for, the leadership training or the activities, speakers, et cetera, et cetera?
I can maybe speak to that a bit. Justine Wild, the chair of the youth at the district, has been leading an initiative with all of the Ripens, Rylas, NS Exchange, myself from RAYEC. She is just about to publish a booklet on all of the programs, how they fit, how they overlap, how to get connected, including a good number of the adventures programs that are sponsored by clubs from around Canada that our students can apply for and our clubs can sponsor. So there is a lot of work being done right now to get more communication out there.
Well, we've already taken up more time than I thought we would of yours. So I'd like to say thank you for joining us, and to Brian, Max, and Tony for being here and sharing your expertise and wisdom. It's always better to hear from somebody who has lived it and loved it. So thank you very much. I did put the camp website address on the chat. So if you're not familiar with it, it has my contact information on there. So if you think of a question or you want to chat, more than happy, just send me an email or give me a phone call and we can talk camp. So I'd like to say, go ahead.
I added my contact information as well, and would welcome a chat, call anytime.
And there's a connection off the district website too. So if you lose that email address or whatever, it's there.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Good night.
good night.
Bye-bye.
See you all.
Goodbye.